When it comes to big flagship German luxury sedans, it doesn't get much better than a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. That car has been known as the benchmark for years. However, it hasn't stopped manufacturers like Audi from trying to steal a piece of the sales pie with the A8. This model has been in America for over 25 years, and for 2022, Audi is giving its flagship luxury sedan a pretty extensive overhaul that includes new styling, front and rear, a simplified engine lineup, and even more standard equipment and technology features. So if you guys are in the market for a new large flagship European luxury sedan and you want something that isn't a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, how does the revised 2023 Audi A8L stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So the Audi A8L was a completely new vehicle back in 2019. But before we start talking about the styling changes for 2022, let me remind you guys what's powering this vehicle underneath the hood. Now, Audi used to offer the A8 with a choice of 3 different powertrains. However, they have simplified that to 1 for 2022. If you guys want more power, there is the Audi S8, which I actually reviewed separately because that is considered to be the high performance model. But now the A8L, which it's only available as an L in the US, is only available with this motor here. This is the company's 3-liter turbocharged V6 with direct injection. That's what TFSI stands for, and it also has a mild hybrid system, a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which essentially replaces the starter generator with an electric motor that generates very small amounts of power that won't actually power the wheels on its own. But think of it as an improvement to the start-stop technology. It is a mild hybrid, and it develops 335 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it's an Audi. The company's Quattro all-wheel drive system is standard. Fuel economy is rated at 19 in the city, 28 on the highway. The company says this model here will get to 60 in roughly 5.6 seconds. We'll strap our timing equipment to it. We'll see what we can get out in the real world, and this car has a top speed of roughly 130 miles an hour. As it sits, this model here also weighs in at around 4,700 pounds. Keep in mind, if you guys want more power, the S8 has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with around 563 horsepower. Be sure to click in the link in the description below if you guys want to watch my review on the S8. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and look at the styling of this particular 2023 A8L. Now, this particular one is also painted in this beautiful dark blue called Firmament Blue Metallic. I'm probably mispronouncing that. It almost looks black in certain angles. It also has the Black Optics Plus package, which will include things like blacked out grille, blacked out rings in the front fascia. You can see the grille also has that more aggressive single frame design to it. The headlights were completely revised this year. You can see Audi's full matrix LED headlights are going to be standard. You can see there's an LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams, no fog lights. Those appear to be fog lights, but that's actually the sensor for the radar cruise control. And then you can see the single frame grille was enlarged this year. It has a slightly different look to the insert. And overall, it certainly looks really understated and stately, but I wouldn't say this is flashy by any means. Audi's always been the most understated out of all the German luxury brands. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I think the Black Optics package, or the Black Optics Plus package, would look better as well if this car was painted in white, but the dark blue also makes it look really stately and really understated. Now, here in America, we can only get the A8L, which means it's around 5 inches longer than the standard wheelbase A8. Its wheelbase between the two front wheels is around 123 inches long, and then its overall length is 209.5 inches long. So this is about an inch or so longer than a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a little shorter than the new BMW 7 Series, which I should be driving toward the end of this year. Now, this Black Optics Plus package also includes these really attractive 21-inch wheels. You can see they're painted in high gloss black. You have a 15-inch rotor in the front. It's vented. It's got a 4-piston caliper design. Clamping down on those brake rotors, you can see you're riding on two 65/35 R21-inch tires. I actually would have preferred if the brakes were red. You can get that if you guys go for the S8 with the red painted brake calipers. This car does also come standard with Audi's 4-corner air suspension with adaptive dampers, and then my tester doesn't have a luxury package which would throw in 4-wheel steering, so this does not have the 4-wheel steering. Now, over here on the side, on the fender, you can see there's an S-Line badge. That's Audi's kind of sport package, kind of like what Mercedes done, or BMW does with their M Sport and AMG line with Mercedes. The mirrors, you can see, surprise, these aren't black painted, they're just body colored. And then the panel roof comes standard. It basically gives the roof a blacked out appearance because it's all glass, which is nice. And then looking at the rear, you can see it almost just looks like a big Audi A4, which isn't a bad thing. But again, for those of you who don't really know cars, you're gonna look at this and just think it's just a bigger Audi A4 or A6 sedan. But I definitely like what Audi has done as we come to the rear of the vehicle with the new taillights. You can see the company's OLED, their OLED, full LED taillights are standard. You can see it has a really cool kind of three-dimensional design. It's got dynamic turn signals as well. The black optics package includes blacked out A8 badges, the blacked out rings. Surprisingly, this Quattro badge isn't blacked out. It looks a little bit strange how it's not, but I love the full light bar that kind of goes across the entire rear panel or rear deck lid. You can see there's almost like an integrated spoiler in here. Audi says the coefficient of drag is 0.26 for this model. And then down here you can see no visible exhaust tips. They're kind of hidden under the bumper. If you guys want that, you can get quad outlet exhaust on the Audi S8. But opening up the trunk, you can see it's got a power opening and closing trunk, which is what you expect in this vehicle. And the seat back, it looks like, does not fold down for the rear seat. Instead, it just has a pass-through. You get around 12.5 cubic feet of space, which is actually small considering how big this vehicle is on the outside. Underneath here, you can see there is a temporary spare tire at least, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. So let's move on to the interior of the significantly revised Audi A8L. Obviously, this is their flagship luxury sedan, so we expect the interior to be very nice. Before we get in there, however, I want to show you guys the fob. Here is the current Audi key fob. It is honestly starting to look a little bit plain. I'm surprised they didn't want to do something more special for the A8. You should be able to use your smartphone as well to access the vehicle through the Audi Connected app, but I don't have access to that because this is a press car. No remote start on the fob, just your usual lock, unlock, panic, and then your trunk release button. As I approach the vehicle, you can see the door handle is pretty conventional. If you touch the back, that'll unlock the door for you. And then looking at the interior, my tester's Firmament blue exterior is complemented by the upgraded full black leather premium interior. This is like the Napa leather interior. You can see the seats. They don't look terribly special, like you don't have like that kind of pillow design on the S-Class, but you can see these seats adjust in 22 different ways. They are heated, ventilated, and massaging. The massage function is included as part of a Comfort Plus package that my tester has for like an extra $3,000. You can see the door panel has some really nice, beautiful open pore matte finish wood with the piano black. You've got this really hefty and sturdy metal door handle here with really nice padding along the center console. You can see that opens up to reveal a nice little storage area. This, however, should be leather stitched. Most of the competitors have this leather stitched. There is a luxury package that my tester is missing that will wrap the leather in luxury, or wrap this upper portion in leather. It's an extra $5,000. I don't have that on this particular one. It's a soft touch injection molded plastic here, and then the windows, one touch automatic for all four. They have a really nice, satisfying, clicky feel. That's what Audis are known for. You can see the seat controls are down here. They're also metal accented. They feel really hefty and satisfying. This is to turn on and off the massage function and adjust the lumbar and thigh cushion extender for those of you who want that extra support. Now, getting inside, you can see this vehicle has like 4.8 inches of ground clearance, so it has that low sedan step in height. If I get in, if you just click the door, it does have a soft close function, which is what you expect in this segment. You can also slam it, which it got confused for a second. That was the soft closer, but let me slam it again. And that sounds much better. It has that solid sounding thunk. Now I want you to notice something. The dash vents, you can see, are covered up with this piece of wood over each of the dash vents. There's like a lower area where this is open, but once you get in and start the vehicle up, you can see that piece of wood motors away. It moves out of the way. The dash vents also, they push back out. So it's really kind of a cool party trick how every one of the dash vents do that. And I think it definitely adds to the ambience of this cabin. But I have to say, this interior was very, very nice probably 4 years ago when it first came out. In terms of the dash materials, you can see it's got a soft touch injection molded plastic with a faux stitching on the top here. Remember, go for the luxury package and it'll wrap the dash and the upper door panels in real stitched leather. But in terms of the infotainment tech, you can see this car does have features like wireless CarPlay, and they added wireless Android Auto last year. You've got their beautiful virtual cockpit 12-inch display here, which, as you can see, I've got the GPS right there. It's got the satellite imagery from Google Maps, which looks fantastic. You can also kind of push this little button here. You can show your trip computer information. You can also change the view where you can make the tack larger. You can put your audio information over there. This all looks very nice and very modern. Audi is pretty much in their second generation of virtual cockpit. However, when you go over here to the center stack, you can see This is a dual screen layout, which is fine. It works pretty well. The top portion is a 10.3-inch display. This is an 8.6-inch display. I want you to notice, however, right now the sun is kind of glaring in, so I'm going to actually close the sunshade. You can see it's got a power retractable shade for the panoramic glass roof. And hopefully once I close that, it should get rid of the glare. There we go. The glare is gone, and you can see it's kind of a really well integrated piece here because the screen is really flush with the actual piano black plastic in the dashboard. You have aluminum trim here, along with more of that matte finish wood. This is what the CarPlay looks up. When I pull up the CarPlay, you can see it takes up the entire screen. It has the haptic feedback. It's relatively quick and snappy, although it does take a second for it to boot up when you first turn it on. But I do like the size. Again, Mercedes does a 12.4-inch display. If you guys go for the EQS, you have that massive 56-inch hyperscreen. BMW also has a new curved large display that's like 15 to 17 inches, I believe, on the new S-Class. I can't remember off the top of my head. So this is starting to look a little bit small. You can also put the GPS here. You can see it's the same Google satellite imagery. Over here, you have your 4 different quadrants here. You can kind of, adjust from all your different sources right here from the home screen, which is nice. Going to the vehicle settings here, you can adjust all your usual vehicle settings. You can tweak the seats. You can adjust the interior ambient lighting, which also looks pretty good at night. And then this 8.6-inch display is for the climate control, the ventilated and heated seats, the heated steering wheel, and you can also open and close the rear shade, along with adjust the heads-up display, which is starting to look a little small. There's no augmented reality in this vehicle like you'd find in the Mercedes, for example. So again, kind of showing its age. Push that little button on the seat over here. You can see that will turn on the massage function. There are several different types of massage along with 3 different intensities. So that's on both the front seats, which is nice. Put the vehicle into reverse. You can see there's your full top-down 360 camera. It's got distance and trajectory, parking sensors. You can also go to a 3D view here. You can kind of perimeter scan around the vehicle, which is really nice. Audi was one of the first to do that. So that's all very, very good. Again, just slightly small looking screens. Now the Bang & Olufsen 3D surround sound system in this vehicle also sounds great. It's pretty much on par with the systems you're going to find from BMW and from Mercedes and Lexus. Down here you can see you have a volume knob, buttons here, a little bit more buttons to adjust your drive mode selector, which by the way, you can see there's 4 different drive modes: comfort, dynamic, automatic, and individual. Individual allows you to basically custom tailor the drive mode to your liking. You can also adjust the air suspension when you start adjusting the drive mode selector, which is all very nice. Over here, there's a big sea of piano black plastic, which is a fingerprint magnet. There's an electronic parking brake here. This controls the 8-speed automatic. You can see there's a trigger here. Pull back to go to drive, push P to go into park. It's all pretty self-explanatory. You can see 12-volt power outlet over here, and then you can see the center console opens up. Your wireless phone charging pad is in there. My iPhone 12 Pro Max just barely fits. And then there's 2 USB-C charging ports, which is nice. This is a nice little padded area here. The seats, again, like I said, they are comfortable and supportive. They just don't quite have the plushness that I saw in the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class. The dash fronts are pretty cool because you can actually open and close them via this touch capacitive button here, which basically allows you to control exactly how much air is coming out. You can see over here, glove box is pretty deep, it's damped, and it's lined with felt. If you want to turn off the auto start stop, there's a button over here in the center console. But overall, the interior has most of the tech that you'd like. It still feels really luxurious in here. It just doesn't look quite as impressive as the new S-Class and especially the just redesigned BMW 7 Series. So this is Audi's flagship luxury sedan. So the back seat, as you can expect, is cavernous. Because it's an L, you have 44 inches of legroom back here, which is actually about an inch more versus the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class. I was not expecting that. You can see the back seat also has the stuff that you expect. It's got the rear sunshades, which are power operated. You have more wood, soft touch injection molded plastic materials. You can see nice little storage cubby over there, more storage down here. It's even felt line on the inside of the door pocket insert. And then you can see here suede Alcantara. The speakers, however, are not metal covered, but overall, even without the luxury package, which would include even more stuff, this is still a very, very large back seat. Now getting back here, you can see I'm 5'7", so I can kind of get back here and completely stretch out my legs. The luxury package for $5 grand would basically include power reclining rear seats with massage, heated and ventilation, and rear seat memory, along with more of that thigh support stuff. So It's highly recommended if you guys go for the luxury package, but again, if you don't get it, it's still a really nice place to spend time. Obviously, there is a seat here for a middle passenger, but most of you are probably just going to use this as a 4-seater because there's a fairly large hump here. You can see you have your own set of rear seat climate control vents, more vents over here. You can also open and close these vents the same way as the front. Open this up, you can see two 12-volt power outlets, and then there's a little control panel here where you can adjust your separate climate control. It's quad zone climate control. Your heated seat is over here, but again, no cooled seats because this one's missing the luxury package. Open this up, you can see your two USB-C charging ports are over here, which is nice, and this is where you'd also find the ski pass-through to get into the trunk of this vehicle. The seats themselves don't fold down. Above me, you can see there is a fairly good amount of headroom space, which is nice. Surprisingly, I thought this actually has more headroom than I expected it to. There's more ambient lighting you can see throughout the cabin here. At night, it looks pretty nice. And then if you open up this, you can see your own little convex mirror here, so you can check your makeup. If you're heading to an event, you can see, make sure you look good. And then over here, you can see it's pretty wide. It's a pretty wide vehicle, so you could fit 3 people across, but you'd have to straddle this for the middle passenger. And then you can see there's 2 storage pockets in each of the seat backs. So overall, back seat is huge. It's pretty much on par with an S-Class or a Mercedes or BMW 7 Series. But just keep in mind, go for the luxury package if you want to have everything that this vehicle offers. So getting to spend a full week in a big flagship German luxury sedan is always a treat. And it's actually been about 3 years since I drove a regular Audi A8L. I actually had a chance to travel out to California earlier this year and drive the Audi S8. The S8 is a wonderful high-performance machine, but the A8 is the one that most executives buy because this, remember, competes with cars like the BMW 7 Series, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the Lexus LS, and then of course there's the new Genesis G90, which I haven't had a chance to drive. Now this model here, Audi simplified because they dropped the plug-in hybrid and they also dropped the V8 for 2022. So now we just have the 3-liter electrified turbocharged V6, making around 335 horsepower. Audi claims 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. We're gonna test that out and see what we can get. Keep in mind, I got 4.9 seconds in an S500 and about 5.5 seconds in a Lexus LS 500 rear-wheel drive. So we'll see what we can get. I suspect this car will be slightly quicker than the Lexus, but slower than the Mercedes. So let's go ahead and we have it in dynamic mode. We'll launch control, brake torque it. Ooh, this thing feels fast off the line, actually, when you brake torque it. Ooh, wow. Ooh, 5.17 seconds. That's about a half a second faster than Audi's claim, which doesn't surprise me. The Germans always tend to be conservative, but 5.17 seconds is pretty good. It's about a half a second quicker, or 0.4 second quicker than the Lexus LS 500. I'll be curious to see what I get with the Genesis G90. I'll be testing that hopefully sometime toward the end of this year or early next year. But this should be plenty of performance for most people. Keep in mind, if you guys go for the S8, Audi claims that model will do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. I suspect it's around 3.5 seconds because, as you guys know, the Germans tend to be pretty conservative. But just driving the A8 around normally, this car comes standard with 4-wheel adaptive air suspension. My tester is missing the luxury package, which would throw in the 4-wheel steering, so we just have the standard front steering. And with the adaptive dampers, even in dynamic mode right now, this vehicle has a really amazing ride quality. It just rides super smoothly. It just kind of glides over the imperfections on the road. It's so darn quiet. In fact, this 3-liter V6 turbo engine is among the quietest new gas engines that you can buy. And I mean, this car would definitely benefit a lot from being if it was all electric, which I assume perhaps Audi will be working on in the future. But for those of you who must have an internal combustion engine and you want just the base engine, put my foot down here. It feels quick. The transmission is super smooth and responsive. It's got paddles on the wheel, which you can use the paddles if you'd like, but most people are probably just going to use the automatic mode, the full-on automatic mode. But it's got so much mid-range grunt. But the engine also doesn't mind being revved. It has a nice snarl when you shift the gears. It actually will do a little pop and snarl from the exhaust, but it's so muted that it's just kind of pleasant. It's not overwrought, it's not overdone. And this actually, to me, sounds a little bit better versus the S500 that I drove, which has the inline 6. I'm surprised actually, because I really like that S-Class. I also much prefer the muted growl of this car versus the LS 500, which the last one I drove was like 10 months ago is when I posted that video, so basically a year ago. It had a lot of augmented sound that Lexus was doing. This doesn't really have any augmented sound. It's just a nice muted hush, and it kind of shows you that this vehicle is quick, and you don't need to do any kind of fake noises to make it feel quicker. Oh, that's nice. I mean, the V8 and the S8 is going to be plenty fast, but for those of you who don't need a V8, who don't need the extra cost, this V6 should be plenty powerful, and it's a wonderful combination that you get with this big sedan and the 8-speed auto. The quattro all-wheel drive just makes for really smooth launches. Let's go ahead and test it out one more time here. Ooh, definitely feels fast when you brake torque it. 5.1 seconds there again. So again, really impressive performance from just a base engine. And unless you guys are wanting for speed, you don't necessarily need the V8. I like how this car slots right between the S500, which I got 4.9 seconds, and the LS 500, which got 5.5 seconds. But without the four-wheel steering here, which obviously will help cut the turning radius in half, this vehicle still turns pretty well. Even though it's 209.5 inches long, it still feels a lot smaller than it actually is. That's the thing about the A8 and Audis in general, is they just have a very relaxed driving demeanor. We're gonna put the drive mode selector into let's go to automatic setting, where this will basically alter between comfort and dynamic based on your driving habits. The steering gets a little bit lighter here. The ride gets a little bit softer. The Audi driver assistance tech in this car works pretty well. It has the traffic jam assist, but this does not have any kind of hands-free driving tech capability, at least not in the US. Audi has that technology in Europe, but it hasn't been quite yet approved for the North American market, which we should be seeing that change soon, because Mercedes just did that with their newest S-Class. But the seats are supremely comfortable. I'm sitting here getting a massage, which works really well. The ventilated seat also works really well. The view out of the front for visibility is good. I mean, there's no surprises with the design of this car. It's super just kind of plain Jane, dare I say. It's understated. So you have thin A-pillars, a good view out of the front, out of the side mirrors, out of the back, along with this really, really quiet cabin. So if you're trying to escape the annoyances of the outside world, this is why you buy a big luxury sedan like this. Not even a German luxury sedan, just a big luxury sedan. It's really hard to find fault with this vehicle. Now, in terms of fuel economy, this vehicle is rated at 19 in the city, 28 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged just under 20 mpg in a lot of mixed driving. That's not bad. Premium is required for this. On the highway, the best that I could get was around 27 miles to the gallon, going a constant 75 to 80 mile an hour cruise. You probably could do better if you drive a little bit slower. You drive 70, you drive 65. You could probably get a little over 30 mpg, honestly, because of the electrified mild hybrid system, which, by the way, the mild hybrid system allows the engine to basically shut off as you're coasting to a stop. So I noticed at like 10 miles an hour when I'm slowing down, the gas engine will shut off, and then it'll already be off by the time I come to a full stop, and that helps to save fuel. And because it doesn't have a starter, or it doesn't have an alternator or a starter, it uses that 48 volt system to start up. When it restarts, it's super seamless. It's among the most seamless that I've ever tested. And that's one of the reasons why this 48 volt mild hybrid system is better, because you don't notice the start stop like you would in a typical gas car that doesn't have it, where you really would notice the engine firing back on. But overall, I like the A8L. I think for the money, if you're looking for a luxury sedan, a flagship one, this one should certainly be worth a look. It is a tad plain Jane and just too understated for my taste. I would want something that's a little bit more flashy. But obviously, if that's not important to you and you want something that's just comfortable, that's stately, that's full of tech, although not the most impressive tech on the inside, this is certainly worth a look. And I do want to mention that it is slightly less expensive than most of its competitors. So it really is a shame how big luxury sedans like this is kind of dying, as even the wealthiest of buyers are starting to switch to SUVs. So it is interesting to be able to spend a week with a new full-size flagship luxury sedan. And I've had some pretty extensive time with the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the Lexus LS, the previous generation BMW 7 Series. I haven't had a chance to drive the new Genesis G90, but I have to say, after spending a week with the regular A8L, The base 3-liter turbo electrified V6 offers decent thrust. I mean, 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds is plenty powerful. It slots right between, like I said earlier, the Lexus LS 500 and the Mercedes-Benz S500. The interior still feels really high quality. It has really comfortable seats, nice materials, but the technology is definitely starting to feel a little bit dated compared to the competitors. I mean, Audi was the leader for so long. However, Mercedes has really stepped up their game. BMW has really stepped up their game. So I'm really excited to see what Audi's going to do in terms of infotainment technology and screens for the next generation of products. The sportiness of this car also is kind of more toward a comfort-oriented drive, which is fine. This is a big executive luxury sedan. For those of you who want something faster and better handling, I highly recommend checking out the Audi S8, which brings me to, my final thoughts, because I've had a chance to drive the A8 and the S8, and the A8L starts at around $86,500 for the base version. This model here, with all the upgrades that it has, like the Executive package, the Comfort Plus package, the Black Optics Plus package, the exterior color that's extra, this one here is around $98,000 as tested, which is a lot less expensive than something like the new S-Class. Those start at over 100 grand. They can easily be over 120, 130 grand for something comparable. However, the Mercedes definitely has more gravitas. It definitely has more presence versus the A8. This is very understated. But for similar money for an S500, you could also buy the Audi S8 for around 118 grand. It's about 130 with options that most people are going to want. Again, that's the same price as a base S500, but you should also be sure you consider the new Genesis G90, which I haven't had a chance to drive yet as of this filming. And there's also the Lexus LS 500, which also has some nice strengths to it until, however, Lexus updates the infotainment system. I probably would skip that. But this model here also kind of feels like it's right at that same level. For around just under 100 grand, it's certainly worth a look, but it's pretty easy to see why Audi only sold around 2,000 of these last year versus Mercedes doing around 14,000 S-Classes, BMW doing around 7,000 7 Series. It is very much an underdog, kind of a forgettable flagship luxury sedan, but for those of you who want something that doesn't stand out from the crowd too much, you want something that's more stately and underrated, this one should definitely make it to the very top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2023 Audi A8L. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.